6:16 at KLIF. I'm Dave Williams with Amy Shadroff. The FBI investigation into possible collusion by members of the Trump election campaign with Russians took a very serious turn, and I think it was a bit of a surprise to most people in Washington when a special independent counsel was appointed to lead it. It leads to a lot of questions, and Dallas attorney and constitutional scholar Byron Henry with Scheef and Stone in Dallas joins us right now. Good morning, Byron.
Good morning, Dave. Morning, Amy.
I was really surprised to see the FBI assistant director, because they're without a director right now, being in something of a vacuum, to make this move yesterday before there was a new director appointed. How about you?
Well, I mean, it seems like it's a long time coming, especially since, as you know, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has recused himself over looking into having anything to do with anything regarding the Russian connection with the Trump campaign. And, of course, there's no FBI director in place right now. So I think the acting Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, just decided, and he has the right to, as the acting Attorney General, he has the power in this matter of the Attorney General with respect to the Russia investigation, to just appoint someone independent and outside the agency, and I think he said in his order, outside the chain of command, so that it gives a sense of more propriety and independence to the whole investigation. And from all accounts, Mr. Mueller is getting strong praise from both Republicans and Democrats as someone who is the right person for this job at this time.
You mentioned Mr. Mueller. He is the former FBI director. What do you make of his appointment? Do you think it was a good choice?
Well, I think it's a good choice for a lot of reasons. First of all, it gets the investigation out of the normal, as Rod Rosenstein said, out of the normal chain of command, because there's been a lot of criticism of the Trump administration for a lot of reasons, including the fact that, of course, President Trump fired the acting FBI director, and there's been allegations that he fired him because of the Russia investigation. And therefore, if you get it out of the normal chain of command of the Justice Department, it gives it a little bit more of a sense that President Trump does not have his finger on the scale, so to speak, with respect to the investigation. And so it can be good for President Trump and the Republican Party just to get it out of the Department of Justice and get it in someone that both sides trust. Of course, if something comes out of the investigation that's negative for President Trump or his aide, of course, that would be good for the president or his administration. But for the time being, most questions can now be answered. There's an ongoing investigation.
Nothing happens in Washington in a political vacuum, of course, and because of the nature of this particular election and everything that has happened since, I think it's not surprising that they're going to start, continue to poke at this issue. But the thing that surprises me about it is the fact that, as far as I can determine, nobody's made any specific allegations. We've heard a lot of whispering and suggestions and sort of allusions to statements made by unnamed sources. What is your take on the political spin of this? Is this something that's designed to have an effect one way or the other?
Well, negative media reports, of course, are going to dog President Trump and his approval ratings and whatnot as these stories continue to be churned in the media day in and day out. But I think you're exactly right, Dave. There's no allegations of any crimes here. I mean, there's not a special prosecutor, so to speak. Special prosecutors are appointed to prosecute crimes that have either already been uncovered or there's already been indictments. In this case, there's no allegations that I'm aware of that President Trump was directly involved. In fact, if you read the order, it is to investigate whether or not there was any type of collusion or connections between President Trump's campaign officials in his presidential campaign and the Russians, not President Trump himself. So there's no allegations that President Trump was involved directly. That could come to light, of course. That's what an investigation is for. But also there's no allegations, even if there was some sort of connection between the campaign officials in Russia, that any crime was committed. In other words, it might be bad politically for members of a campaign to be colluding with one of our enemies with respect to an internal presidential election. But I'm not sure, at least I haven't seen at this point, I've got seen the same reports you have, that there's no crimes that have been alleged. So separate from political fallout, from just there being an investigation of people around him and connected with him, I don't see the legal ramifications for President Trump and his presidency. I think it's more of a political issue, just investigations dogging him and keeping him off message and getting to do the things that he believes he was elected to do.
So you don't think the president will ultimately face any charges?
I'm not aware that that's even on the table at this point. Of course, you never can tell when a special prosecutor or a special counsel, as in this case, is appointed. This is not the same instance where Ken Starr was appointed, for instance. That was under the old independent counsel law that a three-judge panel appointed, and it basically was outside the realm of the president himself. Just so the listeners understand, the president can still fire the special counsel. This isn't an independent counsel back in the days of the Ken Starr and the Lawrence Walsh and the Watergate era. This is actually a special counsel that's working within the Justice Department, just outside the normal chain of command within the Justice Department. But as with anything else, the president, as the executive, always has the ultimate power to discharge any prosecutor or counsel within the Justice Department. There's a lot of regulations on how that would go about. It's technical and legal, but the bottom line is the president is still in charge of the executive branch. So, but I don't see any legal ramifications for President Trump now other than political fallout.
How long might this process take?
Well, that's the interesting thing when you put someone in an open investigation with, we don't know what the budget's going to be, we don't know how many people are going to be assigned. It could be, as you know, with other investigations, they've lasted years. One of the things that this investigation was already ongoing and was already down the road a bit, so you would think that they already have made a lot of progress within the FBI in this investigation. And President Trump, in his press statement, if you notice, said that he's, pleased with this. He believes he'll be exonerated, and all his campaign officials. There'll be no findings of connections, and he hopes that it comes to a swift conclusion. So I think he's at least signaling that he wants everyone to cooperate and get this going so that it can be put behind him quickly. I would think months would probably be a good estimate to start, and then we'll just see how it goes from there.
Do you think the president will face impeachment over this?
I just don't see on this issue where there's any allegations that, even if everything we know about Russia, even the anonymous sources and all the stories that have been out in the media, how this rises to the level of anything close to touching the president himself with respect to impeachment. The impeachment is more discussion of an entire, basically a wrap-up of the last 10 to 14 days of issues such as allegations that he disclosed anonymous sources or intelligence to the Russians when he was in the White House in a meeting with the Russian ambassador, and things like that, like breaches of national security that could get President Trump in more trouble. Now, one thing I will say is, if it is clear and direct that President Trump tried to influence the investigation by either pressuring or threatening Director Comey before he was fired about the way that carries a lot of weight with Congress, because it's an unspoken rule in Washington that you don't mess with the FBI when they're in the middle of conducting an investigation, and the president shouldn't be pressuring the director on how to handle an investigation. Those memos could cause President Trump some trouble with Republicans on Capitol Hill.
Counselor, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
Dallas attorney and constitutional scholar Byron Henry with Scheef and Stone in Dallas. And just a PS to all of this, Vladimir Putin has chipped in and said that President Trump has not revealed any classified information during a White House meeting with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And he said if the U.S. administration finds it appropriate, he will provide a transcript of that meeting to Congress. And then he referred to the scandal as political schizophrenia.
And accused unnamed U.S. politicians of being, quote, stupid or dangerous with anti-Russian sentiment.
You got to think President Trump is thinking at this point, Vlad, just don't help, okay?
Yeah.
You're not helping. It's 6:25 at KLIF. Traffic time again right now. Here's Bill Jackson.
In Garland, it's a wreck in the way on